as you know, the public's trust these days of all government officials is pretty low.
Sure.
The famous Reagan saying, trust but verify. And when it comes to this FISA court, and it doesn't appear they reject much at all, and it gives this feeling that while it is a check and balance that was put into the law, it's there in name only. How do you create some reassurance that the FISA court is seriously doing serious oversights and protecting the constitutional rights of the American public?
There are reasons why the court doesn't reject many applications. Number one, the intelligence community is very deliberate in making sure that when they go to the FISA court, they got their act together. And it is a real threat to the United States that they're presenting to the FISA court. There are not very many of these cases in the scheme of things that are presented. When they are presented, the FISA court sometimes will say, guys, hey, this is not going to work. You need to either withdraw this or you need to tweak it and come back to us. So there are reasons why the court does not reject. Some of them are rejected kind of informally. So this program is well overseen, Chuck. I can tell you that we do understand the sensitivity of the program. We know that while the Supreme Court has said that these records have no right of expectation of privacy, there is an expectation of privacy on the part of the American people, and that's why there's not been anybody who has ever had their privacy invaded with respect to the collection of this metadata. If you're talking to the right folks, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're talking to bad guys who are plotting against America, you better believe you got something to worry about.
Well, let me ask you this. What about a middle ground here? You heard the Democratic congressman, I think, talk about this idea of, okay, instead of the government collecting this data, make it so that the phone companies themselves, the communication companies, it's archaic, I think, to call them phone companies now, but these communication companies to archive the data themselves and sort of create basically one extra level of safeguards, of privacy safeguards. Is that a workable compromise?
Well, actually, we've looked at that. We're continuing to look at that. We're also looking at the fact of getting a third party to store the data, Chuck. So when it comes to transparency, we want to make sure that we can do everything we can without disclosing sources and methods. There are some issues there. It's a very, very expensive proposition to have the companies maintain these records. And secondly, when the intelligence community and the law enforcement community needs this information, rather than going to 4, 5, or 6, or 7 locations to get the information, now they can go to one, they can get it instantaneously. And because there's so few of these cases, and because there are so few individuals, Chuck, who have access to this, the number would astound your listeners out there.
Well,
even though,
that said, a 29-year-old, I was just going to say, though, a 29-year-old IT guy at a contractor got this information. So, you know, your reassurance your reassurance here that so few have access, we just look at this Edward Snowden and we wonder, well, who else has access?
Yeah, that is a real problem. In fact, that's more of a problem than the underlying issue, in my opinion.